Sterling really going to be dragged even more so under the bus? And not even just by the media. I'm hearing Liverpool fans now. Man, I'm not saying it's the first time they've done it. This is the true scum behaviour of Sterling. Excuse me? What? This is what they're waiting for. They were waiting for this moment. A lot of people have been waiting for this moment. Waiting for Sterling to slip up. Like every human being does. Slip up. And they're going to come for him. Like a pack of wolves. And that I blame Southgate for. As a manager, you need to protect your players. And he hasn't done that. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Neeks. It's international duty. That's why I'm wearing my international top. Jamaica. If you didn't know, get to know. And sometimes we think, yeah, international duty is a bit boring, get back to the club, but it's always something to report, always something happening during this time. The news never dies, and you know, some news stories just get brought up from the past to fill the international gap. But this one really doesn't need any digging up. It's fresh, it's real, and I have to address it. And I took some time because it was actually last night. I did the football dugout with Half Hope and Devil. I did a review on the West Indies. Filmed. This is all yesterday evening. Filmed the Football Terrorist Best of the Rest show, which I just which I sent over to Terry. And then the news came out about Raheem Sterling and Joe Gomez and him being dropped. And I thought, yeah, I could do a video straight away. Hot off the press, etc, etc. But I thought, nah, I need to let this sink in, let it digest, because when we hear the news, it's sensationalized and straight away. Raheem Sterling dropped from the England squad for the game against Montenegro for physical altercation with a teammate. He didn't even say Joe Gomez at first. The official report. Then news started trickling out little by little. And as the day goes by, more and more comes out. Sterling makes his apology, etc, etc. So I thought, let me just take a step back, see where everything is actually at. Gather my thoughts, let everyone get their things out, all parties involved, and then I'll come and talk about the situation. I like to be as well informed as possible before, giving my opinion. So that's what I'm going to give my opinion. And yeah, I'm wearing a Jamaica top. We know Raheem Sterling is Jamaican born and bred. Liverpool fans probably going to think, yeah, I'm here to defend him because I hate Liverpool. I'm a Man United fan, blah, blah, blah. Listen, I just give my honest, unbiased opinion on things outside of Manchester United, of course. The reality is, Gareth Southgate was right. Raheem Sterling deserved to be dropped for the Montenegro game. I'm gonna get into exactly why, but obviously, we just take it back into how we came to where we are now. Obviously, Man City played Liverpool at Anfield on Sunday. Raheem Sterling, we know the amount of stick and criticism he gets every time he goes to Anfield, and some of it don't sit right with me. I understand why they do it in terms of one, to put a player off. It's always going to put a player off. Well, not always, but it can have that effect. He's never really performed at Anfield in a Man City shirt, so you would think and you would suggest that the boos and the footballing abuse that he gets is working. He did have a good game, a decent game, to be fair. Trent couldn't really handle him, but I'm not even going to get on to the Trent because it's not even a slight on him per se, because Sterling's a very good footballer. There's many a fullback who can't really handle him. There's a few tweets going on. I think one was from Craig Mitch, and a few have ridden on that about how uncomfortable they are with the abuse that Sterling gets. Didn't go in any deeper, but a lot of people took from it what they could and responded. Liverpool fans mainly, but took from it what they could and, responded against what he was saying. I'm uncomfortable with the abuse Sterling gets because of the place it comes from. Not the reason for doing it in terms of putting a player off and the fact that a player left, because players who leave are always going to get that kind of abuse, especially. There's two things. At that time, a lot of players were leaving from Man City. Maybe a little bit before that, to be fair. I'll say maybe about 5 years before. Players were leaving from Man City for money. A lot of the times, and some left for footballing reasons, but a lot of them, the money. The money sold the dream, and maybe the project as well. Sterling was thrown into that category and thrown to the dogs by the manager and by the club at the time, Brendan Rodgers. He was thrown to the dogs whilst he was still a Liverpool player. He tries to save himself, and Liverpool fans attacked him ever since, whilst at the club, then when he left. So I'm saying it's coming from a place of disingenuousness on the part of the club. I didn't even plan to really go this deep, but I'll touch on it. Liverpool and Sterling were in contract negotiations. It's back in 2015? Yeah, the year after they nearly won the title. Contract negotiations. He knew, obviously, he was aware via his agent, and Man City's interested in him. Man City, 2 times winners of the Premier League, obviously beating Liverpool to that title. Clearly a project that is going somewhere. Sterling wants to be part of that. Liverpool sold their best player in Luis Suarez. Not having a great season. He's been played out of position, right wing back. I remember Rodgers playing him. A lot of things were going on. Man City come. Forget the money for a second, because he was offered a decent amount of money at Liverpool. He came out and said it wasn't about the money. Now, results tell us that the footballing decision for leaving Man City was the right one. He's won 2 Premier League titles. He's won FA Cup, League Cups, playing well in the Champions League for England, in the Premier League, etc., etc. Football Writers of the Year. Listen, the man is doing bits at Man City now under Pep Guardiola. Whether you think he's the best manager in the world or not, he is one of the greatest managers of all time. He made the right decision for footballing reasons. But what happened was, Brendan Rodgers came out publicly and discussed a private contract negotiation talks that was happening behind the scenes. It led to fans and the media alike accusing, whether directly or indirectly, Raheem Sterling of being a money grabber, etc., etc. Raheem Sterling does an interview basically saying, I'm not a money grabber. It's not about the money. I don't really care what Liverpool offer me. I want to leave. So if it was about the money, it would be saying, well, if they offer me the right amount, 200,000, 300,000, whatever you might want to call it, then I'll stay. It was never about the money. And he left the club, and he's been getting abused, well, as I said, from the time he was there, ever since. And the club did nothing to stem or put to bed and dispel the rumours about why the contract negotiation was stalling and, in the end, completely broke down. So that's the backdrop of Liverpool's relationship with Raheem Sterling, especially since his transfer to Man City. On the day, he's had a little argy-bargy with Gomez, and Gomez kind of picked him up off the ground and pushed him, and then Sterling, approached him, went back in. We all saw it. Listen, where I'm from, and I'm sure some of you are watching the video, where I'm from, and on live TV, that's a violation. Man is picking man up off the ground like he's a little man, like he's a boy. Raheem Sterling come from Kingston. He's not no little boy. Man's living in the Northwest. He's not no little boy. Like, what do you expect him not to react? Yeah, he reacted on the pitch. He didn't physically abuse him on the pitch. But he come up to me and said, use the expletives, don't effing do that again. I think he said, don't push me, don't pick me up, whatever it was. And he basically told Gomez that can't run. That cannot happen. And Gomez kind of stood there, didn't react. But he stood his ground, and then I think Henderson or someone else moved him out of the way. Now the story goes the next day, that's on Sunday, next day, Monday, they've reported to England training, I believe it's in the canteen, a few people are laughing with Gomez, and Sterling says, so are you still the big man? So what he's saying is, listen, in front of the camera, when you did violate man, live TV, and I approach you, you didn't have nothing to say. But you stick out your chest. You push out your chest like you're a big man. The cameras are gone. Are you still the big man? Because, in the streets, when nobody's around, when there's no one to protect you, when you can't put on a show, let's see what you're really about. I'm not even here condoning whether it's right or wrong. This is just a reality. Cameras are gone. Are you still the big man? And the report says that banter, what was perceived as banter at the time, players laughed. Gomez may have laughed, I don't know. But other players laughed. Sterling didn't take kindly to that. And then he physically attacked Joe Gomez. I ain't saying he's right, but I understand. And because he ain't right, Southgate is right to drop him. You can't do that. That's reality. You cannot do that. You cannot physically abuse your own teammate as the aggressor. If you, in self-defense, there's an argument, and then more than an argument, it's understandable. It's probably accepted. If man's attacking you, you have the right to defend yourself. So if Gomez did respond by physically doing something to Sterling, you say, well, that's his right. Man's attacking him. He has a right to defend himself. Sterling was the aggressor. Everything up to that point, other than what happened on the pitch, was all verbal. He said something, Gomez may have said something back, a little laugh, and Sterling went in. Southgate's right. You have to be disciplined. And people are using the argument, how are you going to drop your best player for the third place centre-back? That doesn't matter. It's the principle. The principle is that I don't care who you are, you cannot get away with this. I remember Rio Ferdinand did an interview, I think it was on BT Sport, not too long ago, and he was talking about going into international duties and around the golden generation, and you had divisions in the camp, Man United players that were Man United and Liverpool and Chelsea, everyone was separated because of the club dynamics. And that created tension within the England camp. And one could argue the reason why that golden generation didn't flourish in the way it did is maybe there wasn't the camaraderie off the pitch and maybe ultimately on the pitch that would have breeded the results for that quality and that group of players. Because no doubt, that quality group, that players there was quality from back to front. But they didn't win anything. Early 90s or mid-90s, mid-90s they got to semi-finals. Didn't get to any finals. This England team got to a semi-final. Granted, yes, people question the run and who they play, etc. But they got to a semi-final. And they ain't even half the quality. I'm being real honest. They ain't half the quality of that England team. Of, Rio. Look at the centre-backs they had. Rio, Terry, Campbell, King. Ledley King for me was the best out of the three of them, ability-wise. always injured. But look at the other three. Oh, sorry, the four of them. But look at the other three. None of the England centre-backs right now can chat to them. Then you got Ashley Cole, best left-back of all time. You got Gary Neville. Behind David Seaman. Midfield, you got Gerrard, Scholes, Lampard. Any three of them you can choose from. David Beckham. Steve McManaman. Listen, and then the strikers. If we start starting from 90s going forward, Ian Wright, Andy Cole, them man who probably didn't get the chances that I think they deserved. Sheringham, Shearer, Owen, going forward a bit, Rooney. Like, listen, that team right there, with that squad and availability of players, and there's people with talent who could barely, who the current squad couldn't even walk in their shoes, and they weren't even a mainstay in that golden generation. People like Joko, that kind of talent there. But division in the camp is, I'm sure, one of the reasons why they didn't achieve. So Southgate came out and said that basically there's always disagreements in the family. That's what he's trying to create in England. A family where you can trust one another. Forget what's happening at your club. When you're here, we're representing the same cause. That's what he's trying to build. I'm not an England fan. I don't, certain players there that want to do well. Specifically Man United players and other players that I do like. I do like Sterling. I do like the likes of Joe Gomez. They're talented players. I want to see them do well. Harry Kane, I want to see these players become world class if they're not, take it onto another level. But I'm not going to come out and defend a player because I like them or they play for my club when there isn't really a defence. Sterling deserves to be dropped. And there's some reports saying that he was going to actually be dropped from the whole squad. Maybe Southgate viewed the incident that seriously, that to be dropped from the whole squad. It's through a vote or like a discussion with some of the players, and it was unanimously agreed that yeah, he should be punished, probably should be dropped from the first game against Montenegro. But let's keep him in the team because this is a family. Maybe they know how important he is. If it was someone who wasn't as important, would they say the same thing? I don't know. That's a question for them. And Gomez, being one of those players, said, I'm happy for him to stay. I think he wanted an apology, got the apology, got a public apology and a private one. They thrashed it out. And Sterling said it's over and done with, let's move on. So Southgate was right. Sterling was wrong. But I understand. My issue with Southgate, however, how did it come to this? Why am I doing this video? Why am I talking about this? Players have fights all the time. At every level of football, every club, country, it happens. Probably on a daily basis. We don't hear about it. More time, we really don't hear about it. And it ain't a big furore that players are being dropped. Again, I'm not saying he was wrong. But why is this public news? Why could you not deal with this internally? I take 2006 World Cup, Rooney and Ronaldo. We know what happened when Rooney got sent off, deservedly sent off. But Ronaldo made sure it happened because he was obviously fighting for his country. Before the season started, obviously there's a lot of media furore about Ronaldo, Rooney, this relationship, X, Y, Z. I think there might have even been talk about Ronaldo possibly leaving. I could be wrong. No, I might be thinking about Beckham after the World Cup '98. Can't remember now. But Ronaldo, Ferguson basically sat them down, nipped it in the bud before the season started. Hey, listen, I don't care what happened with international. This is Man United. You got a job to do. We're going to work. And from the off, 2006-07 season, from the off, on fire, we won that league title and 3 in a row. Southgate didn't see this coming. Is he without blame for not seeing it coming? Or should a manager, someone in his position, anticipate these kind of things? Was it right for him to call a squad so soon after such a massive game. Not in terms of fatigue or anything like that, but the rivalry is so intense in terms of going for the title. Seeing some of the things that slightly bowled over on the pitch, did he seek some clarification? Did he speak to some of the players, you know, Sterling, Henderson, etc.? What's the mood like? Is everything cool? Do you need a day to cool down? Those kind of things you have to question and say, maybe it's because he's a novice, because he is, I say even new to management. He managed Middlesbrough years ago, but this is a different level. Like this managing England national team is something he hasn't done. The expectations completely different to that of Middlesbrough. And I think him not seeing it coming opened the doors for something like this to happen. It may well have happened anyway, even if he gave him a day off. If someone ended up chucking him about XYZ, Sterling still might have gone for Gomez. But did he put the kind of things in place to minimise that risk? First and foremost, I'm going to say no. And secondly, how did it get out? Why is this not being kept internal? Why is he not, you know, maybe go to his press conference, say there was a bit of an altercation, XYZ, Sterling's been dropped, or, because the reality is, these things get leaked out. But for it to come out how it did, maybe they're trying to control the narrative, but it didn't control the narrative. Sterling has somewhat been a bit thrown under the bus, if I'm going to be honest. Fed to the wolves by coming public with this. As I said, it happens everywhere. And we don't hear managers coming out with this publicly. I don't think it was necessary. He could have disciplined internally. Everyone knows internally Sterling doesn't play that game. You could have said anything. You could have said, yeah, he's been disciplined in your press conference. That question comes and goes. You move on. But by coming out with everything that's happened, Sterling then has to make a public apology about something that's happened in private. He hasn't done well there. And I can't just put it all on him because he has a PR team. FA have a PR team, a managing structure. It has not been handled well. I don't feel sorry for Sterling per se. He's a professional footballer. He's made a mistake. He has to, pay for his actions. However they do they come about, and they've come out publicly, and he's had to. Well, in the end, he's had to make this public apology. But it should never have gone that far. Ever should never have gone that far. And Southgate maybe has to look at this going forward. It's a moment for him to learn and say, could I have handled this better? Same way Sterling, could I have handled this better? I'm not going to put any blame on Joe Gomez. What happened on the pitch happened on the pitch. After that, from what I'm reading, he hasn't done nothing wrong. He hasn't done anything wrong. Some people saying both of them should have been dropped. For what? What? I'm not even saying Sterling should have been dropped. It's some people would have, some people wouldn't have. I make Southgate right because he decided to. If Southgate said, I'm going to drop you, I'm sticking by that decision as the manager because you must know what you're trying to build in your team. If Southgate said, nah, I don't think it's that serious, apologise and it's done, then you back the manager because the manager must know what he's trying to create. And in the end, he's going to live and die by his decisions. But for Gomez to be dropped, Gomez hasn't done anything. It come like, when you're like a child and someone's done something wrong, one of the siblings done something wrong and nobody's admitting it. So your parents is punished. All right, you're all in trouble. That's what you want to do when the referee comes over. All right, everyone just book. I didn't see the incident, but you're just getting booked anyway. Nah, it's clear Gomez is not in the wrong here. He ain't done nothing wrong. So I expect to see him play. Again, Montenegro, I expect to see him play well. And I expect England to win, even without Sterling. Sterling probably back for the Kosovo game. And all will be forgotten. These things aren't never really forgotten, especially not this day and age. Social media, you can't really forget anything. Nobody's going to let you. But what should have really been a bit of much ado about nothing has led me to doing this big 20-minute video, big page, back page splash, and Sterling really going to be dragged even more so under the bus, and not even just by the media. I'm hearing Liverpool fans now. Man, I'm not saying it's the first time they've done it. This is the true scum behaviour of Sterling. Excuse me? What? This is what they're waiting for. They were waiting for this moment. A lot of people have been waiting for this moment. Waiting for Sterling to slip up. Like every human being does. Slip up. And they're going to come for him. Like a pack of wolves. And that I blame Southgate for. As a manager, you need to protect your players. And he hasn't done that. Guys, let me know all your thoughts on everything we discussed here. Was Southgate right or wrong to drop Sterling? Should he been dropped completely from the squad? Or is a one match, suspension, so to speak, is that enough? Or should he just be allowed to play, brushed under the carpet, much ado about nothing, and England go forward from there? Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button.